Is showtime in my live. It is showtime. I am live. It's been a couple weeks because I was in Miami, and when I came back, I had to do a little bit of recovery. And now I'm back and super excited to be here with you all. So if you're here joining me, please let me know. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to know you're here with me. I know I can't hear you, but you can post in the chat that you're here. Let us know. I'm super excited for today's episode because I have one of my favorite people on today. So I'm honored to have her on. So if you are here with me, just let me know. I hope you're all doing well. And this 2022 has started on a good note for you. I know there's some bumpy stuff going on out there, but we are resilient and we got this. We definitely got this. So I am going to go ahead and get started. And as you come on, or if you're watching the replay, please don't hesitate to put any questions you might have in the chat because we will always come back to your questions. And so today I'm super excited. And I'm always so grateful when you join me for another episode of Real Talk, where I get to have a real life raw conversations with incredible people from my circles and communities who have overcome challenges and created amazing. I am one lucky girl. Today, my incredible guest is Shanda Trofe. As the founder of Transcendent Publishing and ShandaTrofe.com, Shanda has been helping authors reach their writing and publishing goals since 2012. She specializes in teaching book writing, publishing, and marketing strategies for coaches, healers, speakers, and entrepreneurs. Shanda's passion lies in helping authors turn their message into their life's work by creating viable businesses through their authorship. And she enjoys working with her clients through the entire process from idea to publication. To date, Shanda has launched over 500 number one best-selling books for her clients and has worked with thousands of students through her online courses and coaching programs. And I am so excited to welcome Shanda to Real Talk today. It is an honor and privilege to have you here with me today.
Oh, I'm honored. I'm excited to be on. You've been on fire. So I've been watching the podcast and now I get to be on it.
Thank you. Thank you. I know I'm so grateful because I know you've been super busy, and I'm really excited to have you on today because, girl, 500 number one bestsellers. That's incredible.
Well, it's been over 10 years, but yes.
Give yourself credit.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And I know it's not easy being an entrepreneur, let alone taking these 500 authors to number one status. That's got to feel amazing every single time.
Oh, it's so rewarding. I'm very blessed. I get to work with the greatest people, you included. But yeah, I always get to work with just some amazing, amazing authors, and just to watch them walk through the process of writing and publishing their book and making their dream come true. It's an honor. It's an honor.
Well, you're incredible. And I always wonder when I'm connecting with, entrepreneurs and other, people, like what brought them to where they're at. I mean, what inspires you to become an entrepreneur and to create Transcend Publishing?
I just really listened to what people were asking for from me, and I felt guided, and it just kind of unfolded. I started I was on this spiritual journey and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I felt this calling to create this community where people could come together and share their messages and their poems and their blog posts with the world on a free platform. So I created this was back in 2012. I created Spiritual Writers Network. And within a month of launching the site, I had over 1,000 writers registered and sharing daily. And then we had all these categories you could place your writing into. And so then I realized, well, there's a need for something more for them. I wanted to broaden the stage for them. So I started creating writing contests for them. And then I would take the submissions and I would publish them into compilation books. So I had to quickly learn how to publish books so that they could become published authors. And that's how Transcendent Publishing was born. And then from there, I started my radio show. I had Right from the Heart Radio so that I could interview them and get their message out that way. And then they just wanted, instead of being in compilation books, they wanted solo books, so I started doing solo books. And then from there I realized, well, they need coaching through the book writing process, because what would happen is so many people had a desire to share their message, but they didn't know where to begin or how to get started. So that's when I started creating my programs and my my online courses and my group coaching. So it just all evolved. I just followed what was being asked of me or what I felt guided to give them. And that's how it came to be.
That's incredible. So it wasn't like, you're a young girl and you had this dream to be, create this publishing company. It sounds like that wasn't even what was on your mind. You just wanted to have a platform for people to come and write. And within the first month, you had 1,000 authors.
Well, 1,000 people registered to write on the Spiritual Writers Network site, or I'm sorry, Spiritual Writers Network membership site. So yeah, that's when I just always was enamored with authors. I was a bookworm growing up, and I loved books, and I always dreamed of becoming an author. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back to school for creative writing, because that's just something I want to do. And I was 2 years into my creative writing program when I had this idea for Spiritual Writers Network. And then I created my publishing company. So it was just me following my passion, not knowing that I was going to do anything with it, just knowing that I wanted to write and have a creative outlet. But then I just felt this, I've always felt like we all have something special to share. We all have a message. And I think my mission in life is to give people a platform and a voice to be heard and to share their message with the world, because it's so important. And so that was just my desire to do that, is what led me to, I guess, where I am today.
Yeah. And what's amazing to me is, like, it wasn't something you had it in your heart as a young girl, the writing, the book, the passion, and then it just evolved step by step into this incredible platform. And you're amazing. I've seen a lot of your authors, their books. It's just an incredible energy. Like, whenever I'm in your space, the energy is incredible. The people that are in your, I've been in some of your workshops, and that's what I love. It's just such an unconditional, accepting, loving space. And I
That's
never thought I could write. And like, I don't think I'm a writer, but being in your energy and in your space and having, your words of encouragement really helps. And I've seen you create magic with, a lot of my colleagues, and it's been incredible to watch.
See, that's one of the things that I don't ever want anyone to feel like they can't share their message or they can't write a book because they don't feel like they're a trained writer. Um, I, I really feel like that's where I thrive, is working with those people who, don't consider themselves to be trained writers, because I want them to understand that they can share their message with the world. And so much of what we go through in life, our hardships, the adversity that we overcome, is
Mhm.
because we're meant to share our experiences with others who are on a similar journey. And we don't have to be trained writers to do that. We just have to write, from the heart. And there are editors and book coaches and all sorts of people who can make your writing shine, but nobody can share your experience or tell your story quite like you. You're the only one in the world that can do that. So
That's true.
yeah.
That's true. I read one of your author, Judy James's book
Mhm.
recently that just launched, that you launched with her. And that was just such an incredible, like, it was s- such a beautiful read, and it was just so incredible. And knowing Judy, it was like you said, she just wrote from the heart. And that's what came through and what made reading it so special, because you could feel that it was just authentic and real.
Absolutely. And it
And that's
was
what you taught me. Just show up and be real. Oh, look who's here with us, Judy. Judy,
Hi, Judy.
girl, I must have felt your energy. I'm telling you, you know I'm psychic like that. Um, s Again, I mean, you do so much. The book, the publishing, the coaching, and I see you showing up, consistently to support, in your membership group and the authors. How do you maintain a work-life balance?
Well, so it's a struggle, we have to create those boundaries. I remember when I was first starting my business, I would work around the clock, 18 hours a day, 12 hours a day, and work on the weekends. And that would result in burnout. And that's not good for anyone. I'm not good for my clients. It's not good for my family or my health. So it took me several years, I think, into doing my work where I realized, okay, well, there has to be a work-life balance. And then there has to be a balance between working in your business and working on your business. And that was another thing that was hard for me to learn, is that I can't just work and work and work and do client work all day long and not put the time and energy into growing my business as well. So not only do I have to find, and as we all do as entrepreneurs, right?
Mhm.
Find time for our clients' work. We have to find time for our family and our personal health and our self-care. And then we also have to find time to put energy into growing our biz and branding it and marketing it. So it's a balance. It took me a long time to figure it out.
There's as an entrepreneur myself, the last 23 years, it takes commitment and an effort. And I know I've burnt out several times. I think I just recently experienced a burnout and had to take a pause. But there are so many moving pieces.
Yeah.
And are you working on all of those moving pieces at the same time? Is there like a season for each piece? How do you do it?
Yeah, so my really busy season in publishing is the third and fourth quarter, the end of the year. So the way I don't know if I did this on purpose or this is just the way it works. It always seems like people are excited to write a book at the beginning of the year. That's when they're excited to start something new. So I usually start my year with my 5-day challenge. So jumpstart your book, 5-day challenge. And then from there, we go into the Author Success Academy where I offer group coaching. But by the end of the year, many of those people are ready to publish their book. And so the end of the year is mostly publishing, where the beginning of the year is more teaching, supporting, coaching through the book writing process.
Nice. And so it sounds like you have that season. The beginning of the year is for the coaching, and then it progresses and the stepping stones for the clients, and go to the publishing. Well, I'm publishing this year with you
Yeah,
at 11/11/22, so I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited for you as well.
Thank you. You've been amazing, on this whole process. So, what do you time is the essence. And so what would you and I've connected with so many of my own clients, and friends who really want to write a book. They feel like I have this story to tell, but they're working full time, they have families. What would you tell someone who who's working full time or has family, doesn't feel like they have the time, but they want to get the story out? Like what's something that they could do to help themselves get started?
Well, one of the things is we're all busy, right? And so we have to create the time for the things that are important to us. And it doesn't have to be, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write this book in 90 days or 60 I'm going to work on it every day. It doesn't always have to look like that.
Mhm.
Take your situation, for example. We found something that worked for you and your schedule that you felt comfortable with. You decided you'd write a chapter a month, and it works very well for you. And the other part of that is it allows time for, once you decide you're going to write a book, it's funny, the whole universe will conspire to bring experiences into your life that are meant to go in the book.
Oh
Right?
my God, you are not kidding, sister. Because you told me from the
Yep.
beginning,
Yep.
don't rush, because there's some things that haven't happened yet that need to go in the book.
I have some authors who just feel such a rush to get it done and get it out. And I feel like sometimes they might miss out on some things that they could learn that could go into the book. But and then with you take your time, you work on a chapter a month, and then things start to come up and they go into the book and you are allowing it. And I just watch it so much with authors. Once they decide they're going to write their book, all these things start to come up that prepares them or that is meant to take them through something that will be wisdom that goes in the book. And if you allow that to happen and you give yourself grace and you're patient with the process, then you end up with a book that you're proud of and it has all that wisdom in it. So I love that you are taking your time. So I would say, if you're busy, you don't have to write a book in 60 days or 90 days. If you're an entrepreneur, sometimes you want to, right? Because you want to get that out there for your business. But if you find that you're too busy to give that much time to a project, then say, okay, set smaller goals. I'm going to create one chapter a month or one chapter a week. It doesn't have to be an everyday effort for everyone.
So little by little.
Yeah, find what works for you. But I think it's important that you come up with a plan of action and you stick to it. Because if you decide, oh, I'm just going to write when I'm inspired, that's when the book takes years to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Because so much about being a writer is, sticking to our plan and being regimented and writing sometimes when we don't feel like it. Sometimes we have to sit down and start writing before that inspiration comes. Mm-hmm. So just wait until you're inspired. That's when it usually takes years to finish the book.
I like that you brought that point up because I felt that way sometimes in a lot of different areas. It's like I don't feel like doing it. Then once I get in the process, it just flows.
Yeah.
And amazing things get created. Can you talk to us, share with us about what is automatic writing?
So I believe when you can, I always say it's when you can get out of your own way, right? Because we have so many ego-based thoughts when we sit down to write something. What are my readers going to think? What is my family going to think? Should I really be writing this? This is crap. This has all been done before. Why am I doing this? So if we can silence that and we can allow the writing to come to us and through us with grace and ease, which is usually the intention that I set each time I sit down to write, that's when the magic happens. Mm. So for me, I believe the automatic writing, and some call it channeling. So it just depends what it is for you, but that's when that flow of creativity, whether it's coming through as a channel or from your guides or your higher self or wherever it's coming from, you are allowing it. You're getting out of your own way and you're allowing it to come through your hands and it just flows. And those are the writing sessions where you look back and you are like, wow, did I write that? That's pretty good.
And I've been in that situation because usually I would start typing, but it's not the same. And so now I've learned to get it to pen to paper because something starts flowing. And sometimes I go back, I'm like, oh God, did I write that? Like that wasn't me. And it's such a, I feel like it's such a spiritual process. Which brings me to the next question. I've experienced this and I've heard, and I wanted to kind of get your take on it. I've heard that the writing process can be a really spiritual and healing process.
Yeah.
And if you can kind of speak on that.
Oh, sure. So much of the writing process is for the author as well as the reader. And so authors usually feel this calling. They get an idea for a book and they feel this calling to write the book and share their message with the world. And if you ask the author, usually they'll tell you that they have this desire to share and to help others. But so often what I realize is people are being called to write their book and to share their story because they still have some healing to do. And there's something just cathartic about writing and going back to those places and writing our stories and getting all that out. It does so much for the writer, just as it benefits both. It benefits the author, it benefits the reader. But I see it because I get to witness this with my clients. They don't always see it, but yeah, sometimes, quite often, they're being called because there's still some things that they need to work through, and writing their story and sharing that will help them as well.
I love that. And I've heard that we teach what we need to heal. So
Very true.
so I'm learning all that. And sometimes it's not that easy to own because we don't always want to, own that shadow, but it's the shadow that expands us. Like when we step into that shadow, and that's through the writing. It's You're right. I love people. I've been helping people from, in my career from day one. But what I've learned through this journey and the writing journey is yes, I wanted to help people, but I didn't realize that it was actually helping me.
Yeah,
So it does. It's a boomerang. It goes both ways. And what a beautiful reciprocity. As we give, we receive.
absolutely.
So there's one. Here's this question. I have this question, and I've heard this question from others. We want to write a book,
Mhm,
and involve stories with other people from our lifetime. How
mhm.
can we be respectful to the other people involved and still tell the story without hurting someone else or out, do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? How do we
Yeah.
not other people out?
I mean, it's a challenge for each author, and it's a decision that each author needs to make. On one hand, uh, it's our experience, it's our story to tell. But it will always be there will somebody else will always have a different interpretation of it or of the events that occurred and may disagree with you when they read your story if they were involved. So it is a fine balance of what all do we share because we have the right to share it and we have to share it in our book in order to tell the full story, and what do we maybe hold back a little, because here's the thing: when authors put their story out there, it will sometimes cause a rift in family members or with loved ones and friends. So it's really up to the author if they want to go there. One thing you can do is change names, of course, and locations so that you're not calling anyone out by name. I even have some authors who come to me to write a memoir and they end up writing fiction instead, and they share their story through a work of fiction so that it's not they're not putting their memoir out into the world and announcing it's their story. They're putting a work of fiction out so they still get to tell the story, they just do it more creatively. So there are so many ways you can do it, but it's really up to the author what all you want to share. You just never want to portray someone in a negative light because they could come after you legally. So if that's the case, then you would want to definitely protect yourself.
Mhm. And that's something, if someone was interested in writing a book, those are, things that you can definitely help them through.
Sure, absolutely.
And the other thing, and I heard you say it earlier, and I've heard this before, is writing a book is great for your business.
Oh yeah,
Why is that?
absolutely. I mean, it's the new business card, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, or maybe you're not an entrepreneur, maybe you just are an expert, or not even consider yourself an expert, but you're just very knowledgeable in your field or on your topic, it will position you as an expert by publishing your book. There's just something about becoming a published author that lends you credibility, authority, and helps people look to you as the expert. And so that really can benefit your business in many ways. It opens doors to new opportunity. Usually, once you get your book out there, you have more opportunities for speaking, interviews, podcasts, summits, things like that. But it's also a great way to have people who are your ideal reader turn into maybe your client because they've gone through the book, they resonate with you and your message and what you're sharing, and now they want to continue the journey with you. So I always say for authors that are utilizing their book in their business to have an offer for them. Let them know when they get to the back of your book what the next step is if they want to continue the journey with you, if they want to work with you in some way, whether that be one-on-one or through your program. Have somewhere to direct them, because you can turn your readers into clients. And if you are writing a book for your business, then that is one of the goals.
Hmm. That's I never thought about that until you mentioned it, and then I had someone else mention it. It was just, oh, I just want to, write a book because it'll be fun, and it'll be good to get. I don't even have no idea why I was guided. Honestly, I never thought I would ever write a book, um, but I can see. there's so many different ways that you can take it. And I know one of the other um, things you mentioned to me is after writing a book, you can also create a course based on the book as well,
Yes,
which is
absolutely.
another, creative opportunity. And
Yeah,
so
that's a
content
lot.
content's already done.
Yeah, it allows them to go a little bit deeper. So you want to share enough value in your book that it can stand alone. But then if you want to create a program where you take people a little bit deeper, you maybe share some tutorial videos and worksheets that they can work through, or PDF downloads, or audios. And if you don't feel that spunky that you want to create all that, you can take people through a group coaching program where you get to work with more people one-on-one than, or more people in a group than you would one-on-one. So you could just simply create group coaching for those people, or a group program. It doesn't have to be something as extensive as a course, but it is relatively easy to create a course once your book is finished, just by repurposing the content and expanding upon it and offering a little bit more of a deeper dive.
And I'm glad that you touched on all of those things because as I'm, out there and with my clients, not only do they want to write books, they're like at this place. I don't know if you've noticed that people come to a point in their life where they want to do something different and give back, and typically it's in the way of some type of coaching,
Yeah.
and anybody can do it. You don't have to be, certified. Your life experience can help you write the book and help you do the coaching. And I that's where I mean, with everything that's been going on in the world, that's where the give back comes.
Yeah.
That's where the service comes. And we all have it in us to be of service that way through, these different channels, through the book, through the coaching. We don't have to be certified to give back that way, to tell our story.
No. And that's the nice thing about becoming a published author. You can coach and give back because you are writing a book on that topic, which lends you that credibility and that authority.
Yeah, no, you can't certify each one of us on our life experience. And you can't teach that.
No.
You cannot teach it. So I want to go back to kind of your entrepreneurial experience. What have been some of your challenges?
Well, I would think definitely what we talked about earlier, burnout, one, learning that work-life balance. The other thing is I just have this desire to help, and I want anyone who wants to work with me to be able to work with me. So sometimes that means taking on too many clients at one time. So I've had to learn through that experience as well. Yeah, but I would say mostly it comes down to overworking or overgiving just because I want to help. I really want authors to get their book out there, but not just, I don't want them just to do it and rush it and put it out into the world. I want them to learn how to do it right. And that's why I do coaching. And that's why I created my online courses, because I realized I was watching so many authors just rush through the process, and because they just want to get their book out. And I watched them making all these mistakes that they didn't even know they were making. And then what would happen is they put their book out in the world and they'd have something that they weren't proud of because maybe they skipped professional editing, or maybe they didn't get that high quality cover design, or maybe they didn't do a proper launch. There's over 50 million books on Amazon, so you
Yeah.
can't just upload your book and hit publish and think people are going to find it. You have to optimize your book's product page for SEO and with search and searchability through keywords and categories. You have to ignite Amazon's algorithm through a proper launch. And so I had so many authors coming to me that I didn't know saying, I published this book and it never took off. Can you help me do a second edition? And I was doing so many second editions for authors who were making these mistakes. So that's when I said, I'm going to teach. I'm going to, in addition to having my done for you service for the authors who don't make, there are authors that don't have time to take my program or maybe don't want to. They just want me to do it for them. But then there's authors that maybe can't afford to work with me who I still want to have that information. So that's why I have my programs, because I want authors to know how to do it right the first time so they don't make embarrassing mistakes and they don't put out a product into the world that they're not proud of. Because if you do, then if you put it out there and it's not your best effort, you won't have the confidence to promote it. And it's a lot of a lot of time and effort to put into writing a book to not put the energy behind promoting it once it's published.
And what does promoting it look like? What does that entail? Because I know for some people that can be scary and intimidating. What does promoting it look like? Or what could it look like?
Promoting it, it's really just sharing your message, and in as many ways as possible. It's like doing what we're doing right here.
Hmm.
Getting on podcasts, creating your own podcast, sharing through a blog, doing guest blogging, just no matter what, not going on maybe and saying, hey, I'm the author of this book, but hey, I have something to share with your audience that can benefit your listeners. And this is my area of expertise. And this is what I can talk about. Because after that, that's when they find, more about you. So I always tell authors, they say, well, I don't know how to market my book once it's published. Well, all you do is you just keep showing up and keep sharing your message in front of audiences where your ideal reader or client is hanging out. And those people will eventually, find what else you have to offer. It's just really so much about book marketing is just showing up and sharing your expertise.
Mhm. Definitely. I've learned that in other areas of business.
Yeah.
Something that I hear and something that I've had, come up in my critical mind was, you know, who's going to want to read another, self-help, self-awareness, self-development book? It's like whatever I'm writing has already been written, it's the same thing. Why should I do this? What would you say to someone who has that, idea in their mind?
There are so many books on every topic imaginable, but nobody has your experience and nobody's going to share just like, the way you will. And also, people are attracted to your energy. They're attracted to, if they look at you and they look at somebody else that writes a book on the same topic, they have to decide which book they're going to read. They're probably going to go with the author that they feel most drawn to. So I really feel like our energy attracts the people to us that we're meant to work with or who's meant to read our book. And so no one out there is you. You are unique. Your story is unique. So yes, while there might be thousands or millions of personal development books out there, yours is going to be different than anything else that's on the market, because you're not only sharing about certain topics, but you're putting your story and your examples and your journey into the book as well, which is how people like to learn. You could sit down and tell somebody something all day or how to do something, but it doesn't really sink in until you apply it to a personal story or a story from your client or an example. So when you do that through your book, that's special and it's unique to you, and nobody else can do that.
Energy, you talked about energy, and I agree. Now I understand, like when people come to me, they said it's been done. I said it doesn't matter. It's never been done by you.
That's right.
But I love energy is everything.
Yeah.
Let's talk about energy because I love talking about energy. I feel like we have to be in alignment with ourselves when we're doing this writing, and that's not always easy. How can you, if you're feeling like not feeling it and that critical voice is coming up, what's something, we can do to kind of get reconnected to the story within ourselves?
Well, one of the things is I always say when you're writing and you are hearing those voices come up and those thoughts, that those self-sabotaging ego-based thoughts that try to hinder us from moving forward, I always say write for yourself and just don't worry. It's hard to write with the reader looking over your shoulder. It's hard to write when you're in your head about what people are going to think or this is not any good. Just write for yourself. Just set out to write the first draft for yourself, because there are so many drafts of a book before it actually gets published and goes out into the world. So that first draft can be just for you. And if you write it as if you're almost journaling, because when you're sitting with your pen in your journal, you're not really thinking what anybody else would think, because that's private. That's just for you. That's your journal. I like to look at a first draft the same way. Write it just for you, and so that you don't have those voices coming up and you don't have those self-doubts arising. And then you can decide later what stays and what goes.
I love that piece too. You taught me that earlier. Just journal.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's just when you're not thinking, you don't have that critical voice in your head, is the inspiration comes,
Yeah.
and it's just reframing and quieting that voice, because that voice can really be, I said I wasn't gonna swear, but that voice can really be a bee.
Yeah. But we all have that. I
Yeah.
mean, I can tell you, I've worked with, thousands and thousands of authors through my programs, and they all, everyone, myself, all of us, we all have those thoughts arise when we sit down
For
to write a book.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't be alive.
Yeah.
It's like then we'd be like for in spirit, because then we'd be perfect, and no one's perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the journey as well for us, in the writing. I've learned, my experience is, as I've been writing, I gain more confidence.
Hmm.
Not only because of the writing, because as I tell my story, I'm moving the energy out of my body, my heart, onto the paper, and that goes back to what we talked about earlier. Like I'm experiencing a spiritual healing experience as I'm doing this, and I'm growing from it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So if someone's interested to work with you, like what would it look like? Where would it start? Like how would that go? I mean, I know it can be different for everyone, but what's kind of the main pieces?
Well, it kind of depends where they're at in their journey. So if somebody's just looking to get started writing, they have an idea, but they don't really know where to begin. I would say, my 5-day challenge that I have coming up in the next, it's either going to be at the end of this month or it's going to be in March. But every year I do my 5-day Jumpstart Your Book challenge. And so I take you from idea to having your first chapter written in over a 5-day period. And then that really sets you in motion for finishing your book or writing your book. So I would say that's a good place to start. I'm also launching, after that, I'm launching my authors, or opening my Author Success Academy for the year. So that's where you can get group coaching and support. But if somebody already has their book written and they have their manuscript and they want to take that through the publishing process, that's what we do at Transcendent Publishing. We take people from manuscript to bestseller through self-publishing. So we provide the editing, the interior formatting and design, the cover design, the launch to bestseller, and we do this all through our clients' accounts, so that you have full control. You retain the rights to all your work. So that would be more of the publishing side, and then so my audience is kind of split into two. I have aspiring authors that are just beginning, and that those are more for my programs and my group coaching, and then I have the publishing for authors who have their manuscript and they're ready to get it out there into the world, a high quality book, and self-publish it.
So there's many different ways, a person can work with you. And it sounds like someone new would start here, and it sounds like it could just progress from taking the courses into the publish. And I've seen that happen. I know that happened with me. And when we do it that way, it's not as overwhelming.
And that's where most of my, honestly, that's where, I wouldn't say most, but that's where a lot of my clients come from. They'll start in my challenge, they'll go through my program. When the program ends, they'll want to continue coaching with me one-on-one. And then once their book is finished, they will, want to work with me through Transcendent Publishing to get it launched out into the world.
This is a loaded question. What's one of your favorite books?
Oh, goodness.
You said you're a bookworm when you're, a little girl. I know
Oh,
there's so many. That's a loaded question.
there are so many. I love books. I'm just looking around. I'll tell you one that I keep on my desk, and this would be fantastic for anyone who wants inspiration to write, is The Voice of the Muse. So I'm trying to, Answering the Call to Write by Mark David Gerson. This book is one of those books that I keep it right here on my desk, because anytime I need inspiration or a message, it's one of those books where you can open up randomly and there is an inspirational message that has to do with writing there. And this book will get you, see, this one I opened to is The Miracle of the Seed.
Read it to us, or read something out of it for us to inspire us.
Writing can be just as effortless. Buried in the dark mystery of our unconscious lies the seeds of books, stories, poems, and articles. They, like my lettuce seeds, dwell in a universe beyond our visual, tactile, mind centered world. Like my lettuce leaf, they emerge in their time when the season is right, when the moment is right. So if you just scroll through, and there's guided meditations to help you unlock your creativity, to help you write. So that is a book that I pick up all the time that I really enjoy.
And that passage that you just wrote is so true. It's a seed that just gets planted and it develops and it grows. And like you said, when you first started, it's like everything was just guided.
Yeah, exactly.
And then here you are today.
Yeah,
And
you have to follow that inner nudge and take inspired action when opportunity, presents itself. And I like to be guided. So
me
I
too.
follow my intuition, and I see where these, when I have an idea that pops into my head, I try to act on it, because it's so easy to dismiss ideas, right? Oh, I should probably do that. And then we don't do it. But
Right.
try to take action on those things because I realize that's my intuition guiding me to the
Yeah.
next
Yeah, the inspired action. Sometimes I try to just hush it away because sometimes I just want to watch Netflix.
step.
But it keeps coming, and I'm so grateful for those nudges because if it wasn't for those nudges, I wouldn't be here with you today. I wouldn't be working with you to put my story out there. You've been absolutely incredible, and I'm really looking forward to continue working with you. I'm so grateful to have you on the show today, and for those who are watching with us live now or who are on the replay, where can they find you, Shanda?
Oh, well, you could go to shandatrofe.com. If you want to write a book, you can go to bookwritingplanner.com and download a free copy. I have a free book writing planner that you can download, and then that will put you on my mailing list. So when I open my 5-day challenge and I open my Author Success Academy pretty soon, then you would get a notification. If you have a manuscript and you're looking for publishing and you're ready to become a bestseller, then you could go to transcendentpublishing.com.
Perfect. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put the information there. I can definitely get you in touch with Shanda, but when the podcast goes up, her information will definitely be there. And I just want to take a minute, Shanda, to say hello. Judy James is here with us.
Hey,
Tammy Cantrell is here with us.
Tammy.
Rita Love, Abdul Green. So thank you all. And for those who may have not have commented, thank you so much for joining us. I'm always so grateful, not only for those of you watching today and listening, because I know there's 1,000 other places you could be. I'm very grateful for you, and I'm so grateful to you, Shanda. Thank you so much for joining us today.
For having me. It was
Yes.
an honor
Yeah.
to be here.
Always fun. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share because you never know who might be looking to write their book, and this could be very helpful. And want to take it a step further, rate us. We'd love to have you rate Real Talk on any of the platforms. Super grateful for you all. Wishing you a fantastic rest of the week ahead and look forward to seeing you again soon. Shanda, stay on with me and have a great day, everyone. Sending you love. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.